we've got some amazing guests in the green room, standing by, waiting to talk to all of you.
In today's world, there's more and more opportunity to have a hybrid in between both of those.
Your job isn't to get into the industry to get rich. Your job is to get into the industry to support and provide the best service you can.
Listen, discover, explore. I mean, it's exactly what I tell the brands that we open retail stores for, right?
Hey, welcome back to another day of the Growth and Scaling Sessions. I am so excited to be here today. We are tackling a massive topic, and I love the topic because it has everything to do with your ability to grow and scale as a business, and that is alignment of your team, of your company through mission, vision, values. And we talk about this a lot. You hear a lot of people shouting and proclaiming from the rooftops that you've got to have mission, vision, values. And I am here to support that because I truly believe, as I talk with owners of companies and operators of companies every single day on my podcast, the most common thing I hear, and here's some links to the podcast if you've never been there before, but I constantly hear the biggest problem we faced in trying to grow and scale was we were not aligned. We were not aligned. We couldn't see things the same way. We had this problem. And guess what? The way that they overcome that is to jump in and align themselves with a common vision, with a mission that helps each team get there and accomplish that vision, and by having core values that attract the right clients, the right employees, and the right staff. So today we're going to tackle this together. I'm so excited because I have an amazing guest waiting in the green room. And before I introduce her, I just want to make one mention that today's episode is being sponsored by the Captain's Council. CaptainsCouncil.com is an organization of CEOs and operators who are also on that mission to grow and scale their business, and they need advisors. How do you get a good advisor? Well, the best people you can talk to about growing your business is to talk to other business owners. And Captain's Council provides that at CaptainsCouncil.com. CaptainsCouncil.com is where you go to join a group of other CEOs and operators who are running their businesses, and you become part of a group, a community, a team who is helping each other with those strategic value points to help them get to that next level of growth. So with that being said, I'm so excited to invite Shirley Williams to the screen. Shirley, welcome, and tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so thank you, Tom, for having me. My name is Shirley Renee Williams. I am an entrepreneur and also a story enthusiast. I'm obsessed with storytelling. I've been working in media and entertainment for about a decade. I don't know if you can hear some of my cafe mates. It's a little loud on my end, but
you're good. You're good.
Okay, great. So I've been working in media and entertainment for over a decade now. I have produced some great shows from some of our favorite networks. I've done documentaries. I've obtained a bunch of awards. I've produced some of the biggest campaigns for brands. And now I'm running a super dope creative agency and working with some of our brands to support them in their storytelling needs.
I love it. I love it. I love people like you, Shirley, because storytellers get it. I mean, when you sit down and watch a movie and you've got all of a sudden, a pain point, it draws you in. You get all of a sudden you've got this like this common theme, right? Like we got to help James Bond figure out who he was when he was a kid, right? Like there's some big pain point that happens at the front. And then if the whole movie kind of aligns with that mission of figuring out who he was when he was a kid, now all of a sudden you connect the dots. But sometimes you get these random shows or random movies where there is no connectivity between what's going on at the beginning, what happens in the middle, and what's happening at the end. Talk to us about alignment, because That's really the theme of today. Mission, vision, values help us align. Where are you at with that, Shirley? And how do you help companies achieve that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the most healthiest families, right? They're aligned. They're aligned in missions. They're aligned in values. If you look
I
at
love it.
some of the healthiest communities, they're aligned. When we look at powerful movements that happen, when you look at what the Black Lives Matter movement, right? It's because you have people from all over the world that are aligned in the truth that Black Lives Matter. So it generates momentum, it generates power, and you can create a lot of change. And so for me as a
Right.
human, I look to anchor myself in core values within my family dynamic, within my friend group dynamic, and especially within the business dynamic. And that's with
Right.
everyone, all of our vendors, all of our partners, all of our independent contractors. Alignment is key. If you have to have it, like what you said, when you look at some of the worst movies, it's like, are we not aligned? Was the director not
Right.
talking to the writer? But some of
Right.
the
Right.
best movies, that through line, that story, you can see they're anchored in one goal.
There needs to be that through line. And oftentimes in a company and in a company setting, we call that the vision, right? And when a company has a very clear vision, it becomes very easy to see why certain people are put in leadership, why certain people are driving a certain initiative within the company. How you work in an agency. How has it been when you walk into a company and start engaging with them, and they clearly don't have a vision of where they're going? How does that look like, and what's the first thing you do with those people?
Yeah, sometimes that can be scary.
It's
I've
scary.
heard I've heard of friends and colleagues who also run agencies or small shops, big shops, where they've walked away from projects or
Yeah.
potential business because a client, them and their team, they were not aligned on the vision,
Right.
right? And in that, it can create a world of chaos, and then there's unmet expectations, there's dollars that are being burned when you are not, or the collective is not aligned on the vision. And I also think definition of these terms is super important too. And we talked about this a little bit in our pre-production meeting. Like, what is
Right.
the vision? And I like to see the vision as what we like to see in the world as a result of what it is that we do. And so here at Willie B Media, our vision is to, and it's for us, it's big, it's global, it's massive, it's in the stratosphere, right? And it's
Right.
to transform our world through media. And in the way that we take on projects, we look at things like, well, is this bid, is this RFP in alignment with the
Right.
vision? When people come into the corporation and we're trying to assess if we're a good fit for
Right.
each other, one of the first things we talk about is the vision for our lives, the vision for the company. So it's super important to establish a vision, to be aligned on the vision. And if working with a partner, if they're not clear on their vision, it can be very harmful. But it
It
can
can be
also
very
be an
harmful.
opportunity. It can be an opportunity to
In
pose
what
some
way?
questions, to pose some questions to your counterpart or your client that they may not have asked before.
Yeah.
That they may not have been asked before, or something that they may not have thought about before, that gets their wheels spinning, and it gives
Gotcha.
them an opportunity to build on an idea or a concept and make it greater or bigger or get
Right.
more anchored. Yeah.
Right. I totally hear you there. One of the things that once you've been able to set up a strong vision, kind of the next step is to have some missions. And I feel like sometimes, depending on the size of the company, you may have multiple missions going on at once, because let's face it, as long as the missions are driving towards that vision, you're going to be able to accomplish something. And I like to think of, our military, right? I'm a huge fan of our military. I think that, bless their hearts, they go out and put their lives on the line to give us the freedoms that we have in this country. And yet here they go. Imagine, so let's just say the vision of our military is to protect American interests, to protect democracy in other parts of the world, to ensure that people's rights are being upheld, right? Like those are kind of all part of our vision of our military, right? So imagine we go and we just have a group of Green Berets, or we got a special ops team. We're just going to go drop them behind an enemy line somewhere with no mission. And just imagine, I mean, just think of this in a movie scenario. Talk about boring, I mean, like, okay, we went and dropped them off. They got parachuted out and they're behind enemy lines. They have no clue what they're even doing, right? That would be the most boring, unproductive team that's ever been deployed in any kind of military activity. What makes a difference, and what makes a strong mission for a team like that? Because surely that's what's going on with your team right now in your company.
For sure. So yeah, it's like what they want to know is how. It's like, okay, you want us to protect the American people, right? But how? You dropped us off here. What are we gonna do? We talked about this earlier too. If you look at it in its most simplest form, we have a vision of eating the most delicious meal at 6 p.m. for dinner.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, how? So then you set yourself on a mission to go attain the most delicious meal, whether that's going to a really cool restaurant or going to the grocery store and getting groceries so you could go home and cook. But yeah, you need a mission, right? You need to know now that you have a vision, it's like, what do you see as a result of what you do? The mission is, how do you do what you do? And it's so interesting how much our teams are looking for us to give them that. They're craving that. When we can empower our teams with a mission that they can rally behind, that's clear, that's succinct, that's precise, that's concise, it's amazing what it can
100%.
unlock for a team. Yeah,
100%.
it's like the magic just starts to come out. People require clarity. People require a vision matched with clarity that can allow them to march to go do the work that they were hired to do.
Right. And Shirley, I know that you are a story woman, and I think that that's awesome, because I love story brand. Donald Miller, I don't know if you're a big fan of Donald Miller or not, but I'm a huge fan. He's the guy that authored Story Brand, and he's a big marketing guy. I love to follow him. I'm borrowing his 3 steps to building a strong mission statement, because I do this all the time. Like I honestly, with my team, about every 2 or 3 months, we come up with a new mission, because we've got a new objective. We have something we want to accomplish in our vision of where we're bringing the company. So when I review his 3 main components of a mission statement, Donald Miller, if you're watching, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Give you all the credit on this. It's his IP, but here it is. The very first thing you need to do in building a mission statement is prioritize 3 economic objectives. And the thing I'm thinking about right now, I'm actually doing a product launch right now, and so it's a CEO peer community, right? And my first mission is to build a group of founding members of this CEO peer group. And so I'm looking at my full strategy. My vision is, I want to have X number of members by the end of next year. I want to have 2,500 active members by the end of 2024. And so how am I going to get there? Well, the first mission I'm setting out is I want to have 24 members, because I believe that my groups are going to be 3 groups of 8 people, right? So if I want 3 groups of 8 people, I'm going to work the math backwards. Okay. If I want 3 groups of 8, I'm going to have to commit 24 people, right? So to get 24 people, I'm probably going to need to have this many interviews with some people, probably at least 50 or 60. Well, to have 50 or 60 interviews, I'm probably going to have to outreach to, I don't know, maybe 300 people on LinkedIn, right? And so my mission statement now becomes, I want to meet with 300 people on LinkedIn to have 50 meetings to determine my 24 members of my founder member group. Boom. Those are 3 economic objectives, right? And then my deadline is by the end of August. And the last piece, why? Because in September, I want to launch a big marketing campaign, and I don't want to do it without having practiced the community with at least these 24 founding members. Boom. That's my mission.
Todd, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you typically give the mission do you typically identify a deadline rooted in time, like by this time?
Yeah.
This okay.
I do. I do. Not everybody does. So here's the reason why. My vision will always be there. Like, my vision doesn't change very often. The vision is to grow this member. It's like it's out there. It's out there. But my specific mission for August is 24 founding members. I got to have these 24 founding members. Otherwise, the rest of my strategy is not going to work. And so it's like dropping those guys behind the enemy lines. Or it's like, what am I going to do for lunch today? If you think about it in terms of lunch next week, you're going to be really hungry, right? Like, you're not going to satisfy your appetite. But if you're real specific, think of how your team is going to react. Oh, yeah, you're right. If we don't get 24 members by the end of the month, we're going to have a really hard time doing a big marketing push next month because we're still not exactly sure how to run the program. You know what I mean? And so that's why I love so much Donald Miller and his being very, very specific on mission statements being an actual mission. Think of it like, we got to take out that bridge. Otherwise, the train is going to blow. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to have a specific mission. Otherwise, the whole vision just seems so unreachable. You know what I mean? Yeah. What are your thoughts about that, Shirley?
I like that. Yeah. First of all, I love how you set this up. It's like you got the big vision, and then you've given yourself, it feels almost like, as I'm hearing you talking, there's like stepping stones. Like in August, We're going to step on this stone. And then in September, we'll step on that stone. And then by October, we'll have stepped on this greater stone, which gets us closer and closer and closer to the bigger vision. I got to adapt
100%.
that.
You got it. You got it. It's not something any business school teaches you or anyone really talks about a lot, but the reason I love Donald Miller so much is he's the story guy. He's the guy that kind of, everything needs to be logical in your business. And you are not going to reach this vision without having very logical steps in place. Let's just face it. I mean, that's why most business founders like you and I, we get discouraged all the time because it's like, we have this great vision for our business, but guess what? The thing that gets in our way is we haven't outlined those actual steps to get to that vision, right?
I love this. Shouts out to David.
Oh, yeah. No, Donald, the big Donald Miller. He's the man.
Miller. I haven't read any of his stuff, but I'm pulling him up on my Audible right now.
Oh, good. Yeah, his Business Made Simple book is probably it's gonna blow your mind. I love the principles he teaches, and between StoryBrand and that Business Made Simple, he's just got a very, very simplified way of looking at our businesses, and we can't grow unless we build off of a mission, vision, and core values. Which brings up the last thing, the core values. Surely I have met companies that are, and company founders who are 10, 15 million in revenue every year, they have no core values set up. And the problem that they face is that they've been at 10 to 15 million in revenue for about 10 years, right? They're stuck. They're stuck. And I was talking with another guest on my podcast who was they're an investment group, and they look for these companies who are kind of stuck. And I asked one recently, I said, what is the thing when you find a solid company doing great revenue, they're profitable, they clearly have a market fit somewhere, what is the first thing you look at to get them unstuck at that revenue number? And now, Shirley, you and I are both like sitting back and going, hey, man, if I was 10 million revenue right now, I'd be pretty happy if I had, if I had at least, 15% margin in there, profitability, 20% margin, that'd be awesome, right? I mean, that would be awesome. A lot of these people, these bigger market players, when they jump in, the thing that they say, the very first thing is what's connecting their leadership team. What is connecting the leadership team? And we've already talked about vision and we've talked about mission. Those are usually missing as well. But one of the things I hear most frequently is their values. They aren't aligned on values. And Shirley, you and I both come from strong value backgrounds. And I know that you alluded to that previously in our conversation. Talk to me about what values mean to you and how does that align a leadership team?
Yeah, I think I would always hear core values in my family dynamic. Growing up, I just didn't know it.
Cool.
I'd hear it in my dad saying, "We don't do that." So it was this collective identity of the family.
I like that.
Or my mom saying, here we take care of people, who need us, or you always think about your sister, always think about family. So, and growing up, there were principles that we lived by that were birthed from the core values of the family. We just didn't have language to put towards it. So and me, when I was working as an independent contractor, there were things about me that I could not do certain types of projects because of my core values, or I had to hold myself to a certain standard on projects because of my core values. And I joined Entrepreneurs Organization a year ago. And was that's where I was introduced to the importance of core values. And I went through a series of exercises to discover what my core values were within the business. And what I learned is me being the leader of the business. The business's core values were essentially my core values.
Right.
We have 3 core values that we stand on. One is we lead in love. 2, we are solutionists. And 3, we own it. We're accountable and responsible for everything. And that is how I live life. So, for entrepreneurs, really, the core values are the things that your core values are the motivating factors behind your actions. So whatever actions you take and why, they are tied to what you value at your core. And so it's one of those, with my team, whenever we're up against something and we don't know how to handle it, we look at these three core values, and it's okay. There's a big problem on the table. We will not run. We are solutionists, and that determines how we take action. When
I love it.
Sometimes partners or clients, they're human and they can be tough, And it's like, we
Yep.
don't meet people where they are. We lead in love. So that is
I
going to
love it.
determine the type of action that we take. So core values are, oh, I can see why some people are
There's
stuck.
they're stuck because they're not aligned on anything. And so when you look at those core values, I love that you have those three, because those clearly came from your upbringing, from your family and things like that. And I love how you've adapted those to your business. I strongly encourage you, though, make it so obvious everywhere you go that that is what you stand for, because as you build employee base and as you build client base, the stronger they see your values, they're either going to run from you because they're uncomfortable that you're a value-based person, which you don't want to work with people who are not value-based people. So scare them away all that you'd like to. And then the second thing is really understand that when you shout from the rooftops your values, whether it be with words or just by your personality or the way you interact with people, it's hugely, hugely important, because you're going to attract better employees. You're going to attract better client types. And I've just seen this over and over again, that core values are not just an internal HR thing. It's actually something that should be PR'd. Like, you should, release this to the public that we stand for these three things, and this is how we're building our business. You know what? One of the key things to the success I had with a marketing agency that I still operate, it's called Moku. We made the 4 letters of the name, and the word actually has a meaning, but we turned it into our core values. And the M in Moku, we stood for being moral. In marketing, there's a lot of immoral people who are, we just need to spend a little more on the ads. We need to spend a little more here. Without a real objective. And that gives marketing agencies a really bad name, when you're just kind of out there blowing smoke and collecting money and telling them it's going to be a year before we're going to see results. That, to me, immoral. I don't operate that way. So M became our first core value of being moral. The O was to be optimistic. And it just really became part of my team of being happy, even when people were frustrated. Be happy, make it happen. The K became, our value to be keen to our clients' needs. And U was to have understanding and unify our clients to the common vision we have for their company. And by exercising these core values like you have, and like I did, I immediately discovered that we had better clients. My employees were super loyal, even when things got tight for a minute. It was like, holy cow, I'm sticking around because I feel connected through these values. Shirley, what do you think about that? And how have you seen that in your business?
First of all, I love that. You've already got my my brain going on how I can get creative and take some of our lettering and reword some of these things. But I love that. And of course your employees from that were optimistic, tuned into talent needs, understanding.
Right.
Like, of course. I mean,
right.
You gave them the tools. You
right.
You built something that was in the fabric.
And that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's the tools. Those values actually represent a tool. I like how you said that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you, Shirley. And Shirley, as you look forward to, like, we talk about, again, taking a step back, mission, vision, values. Like, my hope is that more companies adapt and kind of align themselves together. We talked earlier, the big pain point is misalignment. And from our conversation now and from the conversation we had before the call, I could tell immediately that you're a value-centered person, and that it sounds like your employees are clear on your identity as a group because of those values. How do you, moving forward, look at, your next stages of growth? How do you intend to incorporate what we talked about today into that?
Yeah, that's where it gets more difficult. You
I'm kind of losing you there.
okay?
There we go.
Yeah,
I think I got you.
that as people grow, that becomes a greater and greater challenge. How do you, because
Right.
it's getting larger and larger, and you have to figure out how do you disseminate this information to everyone and get them aligned and on board. A
Right.
big part of that is us being intentional and strategic on how we keep things relational. We aren't just a business or a corporation.
Right.
We're a team. How do we stay connected? You use the word connectivity here in our discussion. How do we stay connected that we can keep,
Right.
keep the strength of the fabric established and
Yeah.
and continual? But that's always a thing that I think of, especially with, again, us being the type of business where we work so much with freelancers. How do
Right.
we maintain our integrity around the vision, around the morals, around the core values? It's tough, and
It is
it
tough.
requires a lot of work. Mhm.
Wow. Well, I appreciate so much you being here with us today, and I'm so excited for your business and the growth that you're seeing right now. There's so many different ways to take your business, and there's so many different ways to grow and expand. But I'll tell you right now, the biggest successes I've ever had, and the times where we feel like the growth was smoothest, was when we were aligned on mission, vision, and values. And so, Shirley, I am so grateful for your time today. I hope that you gained some value, and I hope that those listening gain some value from you and from this topic, because it is so absolutely important in any growth mode or growth stage of a business to align our teams towards that vision by using the tools, a mission and values. Those are the tools that get us to that vision. And I think that you helped us kind of outline that really clearly today. And I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Todd. This was so much fun. Thank you so much. This was great, and I learned so much from you. You're awesome.
Oh, you're too kind. I love it. And I can't wait to follow up with you and see where your next stages take you in your business.
Thank you. Thank you. All righty.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And if you have questions, comments, feedback, don't hesitate to throw them down below in the comments on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you're watching. And please don't forget, learn more about Shirley at Willie B Productions. She's awesome. She's got williebproductions.com is where she's found at. And if you haven't done so already, I talked a little bit at the beginning. Our sponsor this episode is the Captain's Council. So make sure you take a look at that company, because captainscouncil.com is kind of that next stage of an EO or a YPO or a Vistage. We are taking CEOs, plugging them into very intimate groups where you can hold each other accountable, find ways to grow your businesses, and discover that you are not alone dealing with the pain and the struggle that hits us every day as business operators. You've got a group of people that support you, love you, and can take you to that next level together. Imagine a peer advisory board of nothing other than CEOs who are currently operating a business, dealing with the same challenges you are, and thriving. So let's do it. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Growth and Scaling Sessions next week. Thanks so much, Shirley.